Hi everyone, in today's video I'll be showing you how I drew this realistic lion portrait using just 3 pencils. Now for this drawing I'm using black paper, and for the initial sketch I'm using a white chalk pencil. Now all the supplies I'm using will be listed in the description box below. Now I'm using a white chalk pencil just to basically capture the image as I look at it in my reference photo and get the proportions as accurate as possible. Now if you find that this video is going too fast, or if you want to follow along, or if you're looking for videos or lessons that are more in-depth explanations and tutorials that are more detailed explanations, then you can head over to my Patreon page. There I have this lesson available in real time, so you can follow along, and there are a lot more detailed explanations for the videos. I offer videos on my Patreon and lessons that are more detailed, longer, slower, and even real time. There are different tiers to choose from, and different tiers offer different benefits. So there are additional benefits depending on the tier you choose, like for example coloring pages, some based on my artwork. So if you think that you'd like to have a look at it, or you'd be interested in, or if there's something you'd want to have a look at, then you can head over to my Patreon page and you can see if that may be something for you. The link to my Patreon page will be listed in the description box below. So back to the video. Now, as I said, this drawing was done with 3 pencils, and those are 2 white color pencils as well as 1 black charcoal pencil. Now, the reason why I'm using a charcoal pencil is because certain areas, say if I go over an area where I went with too much of white where it was supposed to be darker, I can go over with the charcoal pencil, the black charcoal, and get it darker again and push that color back, and then redo it with white over and do it the correct way that I wanted to do it. If it was too dark, or if that area is supposed to be darker and not so light, I can correct that. Also, certain areas I want it to be darker than the actual black of the paper, so the black charcoal pencil helps me to achieve that darkness and get that real deep values of the darkest values. So remember, when you're doing a drawing of any animal or any drawing, if you want it to look realistic and you want it to look 3-dimensional, you need to pay close attention to the values. You need to have your shadows dark enough and your highlights as light enough. So you need to look at your shadows, look at your highlights, study your reference photo, and see where all of these are. Remember, when you're drawing animals, for example, you need to pay attention to the direction of the fur as well as the structure of the face and the body. Remember, they've got muscles and they've got skeletons, and that all you need to look at as you draw, because all of that will determine your shadows and highlights depending on the reference that you're using. So pay close attention to that if you wanted to get more or have a more realistic drawing. Remember, the direction of the fur also is dependent on their skeletal structure, their muscular structure. It all changes according to their movement, the angle that they are sitting in, or depending on your reference photo, obviously. So all of that you need to look at when you are drawing. So now what you can see I'm using the white Polychromos, Faber-Castell Polychromos pencil to do the initial fur on the drawing of the lion. So you can see I'm going through with different pressure. I'm using different pressure. So if I want the lines to be very or darker, I keep a very light hand, and if I want it to be a little more brighter, I use a little bit of pressure. I'm not pressing too hard, I'm not burnishing, I'm not damaging the tooth of the paper. I just want to get those variations with the different values or the different tones of the darkest tones, the mid-tones, and the lightest tones. Now I am going to come through later with another layer over the piece here and there, and then come through with the Derwent Chinese white, which is a brighter white, and I'm going to use that over to get those really brightest highlights, and that will really make the image really pop out and become more 3-dimensional. At the moment you can see it is looking very flat, so I am going to use that pencil to bring out the really bright highlights, which you'll see, which will bring the animal more 3-dimensional and make the lion look more realistic. So when you are drawing any animal, like in this case I'm drawing the lion, remember their texture of their fur. They all don't have smooth fur, they all don't have rough fur. Now for a lion, there's certain areas that are smoother, and there's certain areas that are more wiry looking and rougher texture. So pay close attention to your reference photo and try to depict those textures of the hairs or of the fur. And in the case of this lion, for example, you have their mane, which has got a variety of different textures. And also remember, the main also has a variety of colors. Now this is a black and white photo that I'm using, and I am using a black and white reference photo, royalty-free reference photo, so it makes it easier for me to capture it on black paper. But I still need to pay attention to the direction of the fur and the texture of the fur if I want this drawing to be realistic. So even though I don't have any color, this still looks three-dimensional and realistic. Now at the moment, as I said, you can see it looks a bit flat. It's not so like really three-dimensional. That's going to really change once I start adding the brightest white with the Derwent Chinese white. When I start adding that brighter white, that's when you're going to really see the image come to life, or the drawing come to life. So you can see now I'm just working on the mane, and I'm just trying to get just cover the base layer for the drawing, or the initial layers. I'm not going to have too many layers, but I am going to come back and forth and just refine some of the layers in between as I'm working on this piece. Now, like I said, I'm using the black charcoal pencil as well to really bring out those darkest areas and really define them. And I'm also using strokes to create the fur. Because I'm working on black paper, I'm using the black of the paper for the shadows. So I don't need to worry about using the black charcoal pencil for the shadows. The only thing I'm using the charcoal pencil for is to get those really darks around the eyes, the pupils, as well as around the nose. That's about it, more or less. The rest of it is entirely the black of the paper showing through, and me varying the white pressure that I'm applying with the white, and using the different white pencils to create that really three-dimensional look. Now, as you can see, I'm coming through with the white Chinese white, Derwent Chinese white, the Derwent drawing Chinese white, and I'm starting to bring out those brightest areas. So I'm looking at my reference photo and identifying all the brightest areas that are the lightest in my reference photo. Remember, I'm drawing black and white, so I have got a black and white reference photo. And I'm really trying to bring out those really lightest areas, because that will help to create the depth of the fur and the depth of the mane, as well as bring out the light source where the light is hitting the animal's fur. All of that will be really brought to life once I start adding that white pencil, the really bright white pencil. So you can see I'm also using the black charcoal pencil just to correct some areas where I wasn't happy with the nose. It was not looking the way I wanted it to, so I use it to cover up certain areas, and then I come in with the white and correctly apply the pencil as I need, or as I see fit according to my reference photo. Now remember as well, there's certain areas when you're done with the drawing that you will not look back at the reference photo. That's where you will be actually just looking at it and seeing if there's anything that you would like to add. Basically, as an artist, something that you feel is missing, or something that you need to change or fix up, that you're not finding it to be the way you want it. Sometimes you don't need to include everything in the reference photo, but in this case, obviously we're drawing a lion, you need to have the proportions accurate. But you can see some areas, if maybe the reference photo is too dark on one side and you want to just bring out a little bit of the hair on the mane, you can just add a little extras here and there, depending what you feel will make your piece really to help you be proud of your piece and to really make your piece come to life. So you can see I'm just adding little strokes around, looking at my reference photo and adding that brightest whites just to bring out those really bright highlights. And you can see how the portrait is changing and becoming more three-dimensional, and it's really standing out and it's popping out and becoming it's like it's bringing the portrait to life basically. Like I said, if you want to as well really study your reference photo before starting to work on a piece, it helps a lot to prepare you for what you can expect when you're going to be working with the pencils. Obviously, it's best to actually be working with the drawing and working with it as you come across different things you encounter and you learn. But it's also important to study your reference photo before starting with drawing. That way you'll be able to really know what you basically going to be doing. And like now you can see I looked at my reference photo and realized certain areas were not looking too dark enough, and I needed to add a bit of the charcoal pencil, black one, just to bring those areas or darken those areas a bit more. Also at times see what maybe needs to be added or even what needs to be left out, because you don't always have to follow the reference photo exactly as it is. It depends on the subject you're drawing, the reference photo, the quality of the reference photo as well. So I guess that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found it helpful and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to like and share. Feel free to comment below and don't forget to subscribe. Till the next one, bye.